I wasn't the favorite. I wasn't even invited to the family meetings. When my grandfather passed away, I didn't expect anything, but I also didn't expect them to give everything that was mine to him. To my cousin, the golden boy, the fraud in a tailored suit. They said he was better suited for the responsibility, smarter, more business-minded. But I knew what he really was, a parasite in a silk tie. So I didn't fight in court. I didn't beg for my share. Instead, I waited, I watched, and then I tore his empire down, piece by piece. This is the story of how I turned quiet betrayal into financial disruption. I still remember the stale coffee and fake sympathy in the lawyer's office. The day my grandfather's will was read, the air was heavy, not with grief, but with anticipation. Everyone sat in leather chairs, dressed in black, pretending to mourn a man they hadn't visited in years. Everyone but me. I was the only one who had actually taken care of him. I brought him groceries, drove him to appointments, sat with him during chemo, even when he was too tired to speak. I never asked for anything. I just assumed stupidly that love counted for something. The lawyer opened the will. To my grandson Mason. I straightened in my chair. I leave my deepest appreciation for all he has done. And I trust he'll understand that the bulk of the estate must go to the person best equipped to manage it. Then he said his name. To my nephew, Aiden, I leave the house, the land, and the business portfolio. I froze. Aiden, my cousin, the same guy who forgot Grandpa's birthday 5 years in a row, the guy who showed up for holidays late and left early, the guy who once asked Grandpa if he could borrow $50,000 to invest in a crypto startup and never paid it back. I didn't understand. My chest felt like it caved in. I looked at the lawyer, at my aunt, at Aiden, who sat smug and silent. He didn't even look surprised, because he knew. They all knew. My aunt leaned toward me and whispered with that plastic smile, "Don't take it personally, Mason. Aiden's just better at this stuff." Better? Better at what? At lying? At stealing? At being born to the right sibling? I left without saying a word. No yelling, no begging, no fighting, just silence. Because in that moment, I realized something powerful. They had written me off, which meant they'd never see me coming. Over the next few weeks, I disappeared from the family radar. Didn't answer texts. Didn't attend the celebration of life party Aiden hosted like it was some networking event. But I was watching, I was listening, and I was planning. Aiden inherited more than money. He inherited my rage, and he had no idea he was holding a ticking bomb. Because Grandpa might have given him the assets, but he also left me with something far more dangerous. Secrets. Aiden always looked the part. Perfect haircut, tailored suits, that smug, polished smile you see on real estate billboards. But behind that image, he was all fluff, smoke, mirrors, debt stacked on borrowed charm. 3 weeks after the will reading, I started digging, not out of curiosity, out of necessity. If I wanted to dismantle his empire, I had to know where the cracks were, and Aiden, he was practically made of them. I started with the family business. On paper, it looked clean, a real estate investment firm Grandpa built over 30 years. But behind the LLC filings and shiny brochures, I found a trail of bad loans. Balloon payments, delayed taxes, and worst of all, a shadow account offshore. Grandpa kept everything on paper. In journals, receipts, folders stacked by month and project. He trusted ink more than digital. That trust became my ammunition. Late one night, I found an entry in one of Grandpa's old ledgers. Loan to Aiden, 2021. $150,000. No repayment plan confirmed. Next to it, a scribbled note. Might have been a mistake. That was the beginning. I matched timelines, compared transactions, hired a friend from college, a forensic accountant named Jonah, to double-check. And slowly, the mask Aiden wore began to crack. He used the inheritance to cover previous debts. Not invest, not grow, just survive. Aiden didn't build anything. He was just rearranging sandbags during a flood. The real clincher, one of the commercial properties Grandpa had fully paid for, Aiden used it as collateral to secure another private loan. Illegal, because it was part of a trust with shared beneficiaries. Beneficiaries like me, that he'd conveniently forgotten to notify. I smiled, because that's all I needed. He didn't just steal from me, morally. He violated the law. It was time to poke the bear, just enough to make him sweat, to test how shaky his hands really were. I sent an anonymous email. Simple, elegant. You should really check property file number 48B. Someone might be watching. No name, no threat, no trace, but it worked. 2 days later, Jonah confirmed Aiden made an emergency transfer of $200,000 between his personal accounts, likely to cover exposure. Which meant one thing. He was scared. And scared men, they make mistakes. You don't bring down a man like Aiden by screaming. You do it by whispering, by planting seeds of doubt, by making the people around him ask just one question. What if he isn't who we think he is? Aiden thrived on perception. He had built his reputation on being the golden boy of the family, the young visionary who turned Grandpa's wealth into a modern empire. But perception is fragile, and fraud, that stains everything it touches. I started with the bankers. Aiden had borrowed heavily from a private investment group, the kind that smiled politely but devoured people alive when payments slipped. Jonah and I created a dossier, a neat, anonymous package with just enough truth to cause panic. Over-leveraged properties, misrepresented tenant occupancy, falsified cash flow statements. We sent it to one of the junior analysts, not the boss, someone hungry, someone who'd want credit for uncovering a scandal. Within a week, whispers reached Aiden's office. Why are the numbers on the Westport building off? Is there a reason your debt-to-income ratio tripled in the last quarter? He started sweating, started firing low-level staff, started closing doors during meetings. That's the thing about fraud. Once you start hiding one lie, you have to keep creating 10 more. Then came the vendors. We leaked a fake audit email to 3 contractors. Due to an upcoming SEC investigation, we advise you to review your payment history with Aiden Real Capital LLC. One of them stopped work on a $600,000 renovation job the next day. I even whispered in the right family ears. At Aunt Cheryl's birthday, the one I didn't attend, my name came up. And so did the fact that Aiden forgot to include me in the trust realignment Grandpa signed in his final year. How did they know? Well, let's just say cousins talk. Especially when they feel like they might be next. Aiden called me. Blocked number. You think I don't know it's you? You're pathetic. I didn't respond. He hung up first. Perfect. Because when you're truly in control, you don't flinch. You don't fight. You watch them unravel. By month's end, he had defaulted on a loan. Just one. But in his world, one crack spreads fast. Like rot in a mansion. He tried to refinance. Got denied. Tried to sell a property to cover shortfalls. Got hit with a fraud claim from a co-owner he hadn't disclosed. His golden world was turning to ash. And I hadn't even touched him directly yet. There's a moment in every takedown where the target stops feeling untouchable and starts feeling hunted. Aiden was there. You could see it in his eyes, the panic he tried to hide behind perfect smiles and tighter suits. But I wasn't just going to expose him. I wanted him to walk into the trap himself. To do that, I needed bait, something he couldn't resist. Jorah and I created a fake buyer, a boutique investor group from Dubai, looking to acquire undervalued commercial real estate in the US. We gave it a name, Emirati Property Ventures, a fake website, fake LinkedIn profiles, fake Zoom calls with voice filters and polished decks, all with one target property in mind. The same building Aiden had illegally used as collateral, without my consent as a trust beneficiary. The offer we made, too good. Above market value, cash purchase, no inspection clause. Deal closed in 10 days. We leaked interest to a friend of a friend, a broker Aiden had used before. 3 days later, Aiden bit. Hard. Hey, just got word from Dubai. You guys buying up in the Bay Area? Maybe. Who's asking? Aiden K. Real Capital. He's asking if you're interested in the Northgate building. Bingo. He was desperate. He thought this sale could fix everything. Pay off the loan. Shut the rumors down. Win back the narrative. But the building wasn't clean. because it didn't belong just to him, and he was about to try to sell it, again, without my signature. We set up the fake closing, pushed the paperwork, scheduled the wire, and 24 hours before it closed, I sent the final blow, a real email from my real attorney to the real escrow officer handling the sale. This property is held in a trust with multiple beneficiaries, one of whom was never consulted nor agreed to this sale. Proceeding could constitute civil fraud. Boom. The sale was frozen, the escrow account locked. The buyer, me, ghosted him, and Aiden, now publicly tied to attempted fraudulent conveyance. The whisper campaign became a shout. His lenders pulled their support, vendors canceled projects, and investors, gone. All because he got greedy, all because he thought I was still the quiet one. He called again, this time from his real number. "You've ruined everything," I answered. "No, Aiden, you did. I just gave your lies a mirror." People think a business is made of buildings, contracts, and logos, but really, it's made of trust. Once that cracks, everything else falls. And Aiden's empire? It was built on a foundation of borrowed names, fake numbers, and inherited clout. All of it was about to go up in smoke. The day the deal collapsed, I paid a visit to the county records office. The Northgate property, the one he tried to sell, was held in a trust titled the Kessler Family Living Trust. Established by my grandfather, with me listed as a co-beneficiary, Aiden had forged my name on a consent form. We had the handwriting analysis to prove it. Jonah and I filed an official complaint through a real estate fraud hotline, anonymously for now. But it wouldn't stay quiet for long, because once that investigation started, every other deal he touched came under the microscope. He tried to stay afloat, pull favors, refinance loans, reach out to old investors for a second chance. But now, he was radioactive. Even family friends stopped returning his calls. Aunt Cheryl asked me one night, "Are you doing this?" I didn't lie. He did this to himself. She didn't reply. She just sighed, like she already knew. The moment it all collapsed, a contractor sued for non-payment on a luxury condo project Aiden had promised would be the crown jewel of the firm. The lawsuit triggered a domino effect. Another contractor filed a lien. A silent partner pulled funding. The press caught wind of family real estate scandal. And just like that, his company was under review by the state licensing board. But that wasn't enough. I didn't just want him broke. I wanted him to see everything he stole crash down with him inside. So I filed a civil suit under my own name, citing breach of fiduciary duty, fraudulent conveyance, forgery, intentional infliction of financial harm. The moment he was served, he was at a networking lunch. The process server walked straight into the restaurant, handed him the folder, and said, "Mr. Kessler, you've been served." He didn't even finish his wine. Everything he had built with my inheritance was now the key to his destruction. Aiden had spent his entire adult life pretending he was something he wasn't. Successful. But once the lawsuits hit, the facade cracked wide open and outpoured every dirty little secret he'd buried in the shadows. Debt collectors started circling like vultures. One by one, private lenders came forward, claiming Aiden had borrowed hundreds of thousands in unsecured bridge loans, short-term cash, high interest, no documentation, all on the assumption that he'd sell off trust properties for profit, which, of course, he now legally couldn't. Turns out, Aiden had been playing a very dangerous game. He wasn't just stealing from me. He was juggling personal debt, company debt, and trust fund assets to stay afloat. When one domino fell, they all went with it. I learned from a quiet source, a paralegal on the inside, that one of his creditors was considering criminal fraud charges, because when you borrow money against an asset you don't fully own, and then you forfeit that ownership in court, that's not just shady, that's a felony. He called me again. This time, he was quiet. No anger, no arrogance, just a broken whisper. "Mason, please, I made mistakes, but you're my cousin." I stayed silent, let it hang in the air. Then I said, You didn't just take money. You took the last thing Grandpa gave me, and you made a mockery of it. I can't lose everything. You should have thought of that before you tried to erase me. After that call, I met with my attorney. We pushed forward with the suit, and as part of discovery, we uncovered one final bombshell. Aiden had funneled nearly $90,000 from a joint family account, meant for trust property maintenance, into a personal investment app. He lost almost all of it. Gambling on a meme stock, he was now looking at civil lawsuits, tax fraud audits, real estate license suspension, and a likely bankruptcy filing, all in under 6 months. And the best part? I never once touched his money. I just made sure the truth saw the light. You know someone's truly ruined when they stop showing up. No more dinners, no more fundraisers, no more carefully staged photos on social media. Aiden disappeared, not into luxury, but into silence. Because when your entire life is built on reputation, and that reputation shatters in public, there's nowhere left to hide. The local paper ran the headline, "Rising Real Estate Star Accused of Defrauding Family Trust." The article wasn't sensational. It didn't need to be. Facts did the damage. Multiple lawsuits, disbarred from handling trust finances, properties frozen, license under review, civil trial pending, and my name, right there in black and white. Mason Kessler, co-beneficiary, filed a formal complaint after uncovering discrepancies in trust records. No more hiding, no more whispers, just truth. I was flooded with messages, some supportive, some cautious, some quiet acknowledgments from family members who had once praised Aiden at my expense. I had no idea. You were right to do it. I'm sorry for not standing with you sooner. I didn't need apologies, but I accepted every one, because justice isn't always about revenge. Sometimes it's just about restoring what was stolen. Aiden's company collapsed within weeks. He liquidated his car, put his penthouse up for sale, even tried to transfer ownership of a boat to a shell company in Belize. We flagged that too. The judge froze it. I didn't even have to appear at the fraud hearing. My attorney brought in documentation, handwriting experts, trust documents. It was an open and shut case. The judge's ruling? Mr. Aiden Kessler is found in breach of fiduciary duty. All control over trust assets is hereby revoked. Restitution of $642,000 is ordered to Mason Kessler. It wasn't just about the money. It was about that name, my name, cleared, respected, reinstated in the family legacy. Aiden left town. Rumor was he tried to start over in Florida, under a consulting gig for a friend's development company. But trust? That doesn't travel well, and his shadow followed him everywhere. Once the storm passed, the silence was strange. No legal calls, no media whispers, no more tense stares at family gatherings. Just space. For the first time in years, I wasn't fighting for what was mine. I returned to the property Grandpa had left us, the one Aiden nearly sold out from under me. The old garden was overgrown, the paint chipped, the windows dusty, but it was still ours, still mine. I walked through the creaky halls and imagined his voice echoing down the corridor. You protect what's yours, Mason, and if you can't, you rebuild it stronger. So I did, not with rage or revenge, but with clarity. I put together a small real estate trust, real this time, one where every asset was transparent, every partner equally empowered. Jonah helped me structure it. We brought in 3 other disenfranchised family members, cousins Aiden had once overlooked. We called it Ashlight Properties, because everything beautiful I was about to build was born from fire. I didn't go public with it. No social media announcements, no interviews. Let Aiden have his spotlight. I had my roots. We bought back 2 properties Aiden had tried to flip. At half the price, we funded a community scholarship in Grandpa's name, something Aiden always talked about but never did. And we reopened the old Kessler Foundation office downtown. People began to notice. Not the loud ones, the quiet ones. The ones who had known my grandfather and remembered his values. One day, I received a handwritten letter from one of his oldest friends. What you did, that was hard, but it was right. You didn't just protect your inheritance. You protected his legacy. I kept it in a drawer beside Grandpa's pocket watch. As for Aiden, every now and then, someone would forward me an email or a flyer. Aiden Kessler is now offering mentorship for young real estate investors. Webinar, Overcoming Setbacks in Business. It made me smile, because some lessons, they never really learn. But I did. I learned that silence isn't weakness, that patience can be power, that truth doesn't shout, it waits, and when the time comes, it burns everything that doesn't belong. It was a quiet Saturday afternoon when the past came knocking again. Literally. 3 knocks on the door. No call, no message, just silence, and then Aiden, standing there on my porch, gaunt, tired, older than I remembered, like the shame had aged him faster than time ever could. I didn't speak. I just stepped aside. He walked in like a man begging for shelter, not just from the weather, but from himself. We sat in the kitchen. He didn't touch the coffee I poured. For a full minute, we said nothing. Then he finally broke. I lost everything, Mason. I waited. I lost the company, the car, the house. Even Cheryl won't speak to me. And I wanted you to know I'm sorry for all of it, for what I did, for what I tried to take. He looked up, eyes glossy but not quite crying. I didn't come here to beg or to fix anything. I wanted to say it to your face. I didn't flinch. I had every right to slam the door in his face, to throw the coffee at the wall, to remind him of every lie, every betrayal, every forged signature and stolen dollar. But I didn't, because I was done carrying his weight. I appreciate the apology, I said, but it doesn't fix the damage. I know, he nodded. I don't expect it to. He got up slowly, then added, I hope, someday, we can be family again. I didn't promise anything. He left quietly, the same way he came. But I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel pity. I felt peace. For the first time, later that evening, Jonah asked me, do you believe him? Doesn't matter, I replied. I believe in what I built from the ruins. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's remembering without letting it control you. There's something poetic about standing where it all began. I was in my grandfather's study, now mine, the afternoon light pouring over his old wooden desk, the leather chair creaking as I sat in it. So many memories lived in this room. His voice, his stories, the lessons he taught me without ever raising his voice. Years ago, I was the kid no one believed in, the afterthought, the background relative. But now, the trust was restored, the business rebuilt, the legacy protected, and my name, it meant something again. Not because of revenge, but because I didn't let betrayal turn me into someone I wasn't. Jonah came by with the final paperwork. The Ashlight Properties Trust was now valued at over $3.2 million, clean, legitimate, and fully funded. We signed a new initiative, a youth housing grant named after Grandpa Kessler. Feels like we've done it, Jonah said. I nodded. Not just done it, we've rewritten it. That evening, I walked out to the back garden. The air was still. I pulled out the letter Grandpa had once written me when I was 14, the one he'd left tucked inside a drawer with my name on it. It read, Mason, in this world some people take shortcuts, others take the long road. I hope you choose the one that leaves footprints worth following. I folded the letter and smiled, because I had. As for Aiden, he stayed away. I heard whispers now and then, trying new ventures, none of them sticking. But I didn't need to follow his fall anymore, because I had risen. Parentheses. The house I saved, the one he tried to sell, became a symbol, not just of justice, but of transformation, of the quiet power in standing your ground, of how the ones underestimated the most are often the ones with the deepest strength. Legacy isn't what you inherit, it's what you protect and what you build from the ashes.